Hello everyone, and welcome to the Gateless Gate. I'm Sam Fisher, and we're doing number 2 today, Hyakujo's Fox. This one's fascinating because it's such a good complement to number 1, which is, which one is that? Joshu's dog, learning moo. So there's a tendency to get really excited when we learn about moo. We realize we can unask our questions, we realize that learning is basically infinite, and we can slowly work our way down to some sort of basic understanding of the universe. So it's really exciting to do that. Hyakujo's Fox is a complement to that, to remind us of humility, to remind us that we're always progressing, and to help us understand what true detachment is. So this is how the story goes. There's a, what's his name? Master teacher named Hyakujo at a monastery. He teaches. He notices a new student there one day. After the teaching and lesson is dispersed, the student stays, and Hyakujo talks to him and asks, what's up? The student says, well, life's a little bit tough right now because I've been reincarnated as a fox. I've been a fox for 500 lives. And Hyakujo says, well, how did that happen? He's like, well, it's like this. One day I was teaching and someone asked me, can someone escape the law of karma? And remember, karma is giving and receiving. It's actually, yeah, you could call it the law of restoration, but it's getting back the fruits of your labor, so to speak. The idea that you'll return good for good and bad for bad. And so there's this idea of karma, and basically what the guy asks is it possible to escape this infinite cycle of birth and redeath if you want, but really it's this infinite cycle of constant receiving back what you get for good and for bad. And the monk, what he does is he just says like, yeah, we're cool. I mean, yeah, you can do it. Because if we can't do it, then why are we progressing, right? But it turns out that's the wrong answer. Anyway, so he turns into a fox, and he stays that way for 500 cycles, 500 lives and deaths of a fox, and he can't escape. He can't escape, which is so funny because he's like, can someone escape the law of karma? And he's like, yes. And then he turns into a fox and he can't escape the law of karma. So he goes to Master Hyakujo and he says, will you please release me from this? Master Hyakujo's like, sure. And he asks Master Hyakujo, can someone escape the law of karma? Now, in the most popular of the different translations of the Gateless Gate, they say, no one can escape the law of karma. True, but there's a better translation. So hopefully you found this one. Master Hyakujo responds, no, you can't escape the law of karma. You can only become one with the law of karma. At this point, the man is enlightened, and he disappears, and they find the fox's body, and they bury him as a ritual monk. And he's escaped this endless cycle of being a fox. So he was freed. So there's a whole second part. I'm going to ignore that. It gets really complicated. So if you want to tackle it and put any thoughts in the comments, that's fine. But I'm just going to skip it for today. What I want to meditate on is this idea of becoming one with the law of karma. This idea that as we progress and progress and progress, we are slowly becoming more and more one with everything. And that it's a little dangerous to say, yes, we can somehow supersede and ascend past the elements of the earth, let's say, or the materials. Although you can do that in a sense, but it's much more important to say we slowly become one. We become one with the reality of what truly is behind. Now, this also leads to that question of detachment. The idea that as you slowly become more enlightened, you become more attached. I think this teaches an important lesson that the detachment, to some extent, you're right, you're being detached from the normal flow of chaotic emotions, you're being detached from the normal flow of chaotic karma. But in truth, what you're doing is you're slowly becoming more enriched. You're becoming more one with everything. And not one with all the chaos, you're becoming one with the basic flow and with the foundational divinity of everything around you. So that's the lesson of Hyakujo's Fox, is first, we want to become one with the law of karma. Second, we don't detach and separate so much as we enrich and become one with the true self. And then there's that third lesson that Mumon gives that says, you've got to understand that, and this is in the poem that he gives to us, the prose that he gives to us, subject karma to karma or free from it, it's the same cycle. Free from karma or subject to it, it's two sides of the same coin. And so I hope that you approach the rest of this with humility, that you keep asking the Mu question, and as you do so, you don't just detach, but you also enrich your understanding, and you always keep looking for answers. And he turns out as a fox. He turns into a fox. Oops, I just scared those birds. Check this out. Yep. I said they turned into a fox and they all took off. That's pretty funny. So